service for the 5 policemen who were killed. I was traveling, but my wife sent it to me. You've got to listen to this. I watch Question Time. I mean, you might find it boring, but I sit down and I watch Question Time because I learn how to hone what I feel is a gift that God has given me so that it can serve people. Yeah? So whatever your gift is, there is an element of hard work, of diligence to hone that gift. It remains latent, it remains potential until you hone the gift. It remains hidden until you mine it. And mining anything involves some effort. You know, that wise King Solomon says this. He says, see a man diligent in his business, he will stand before kings and not before mean men. What is he saying? He's saying anybody who diligently applies himself to something, that thing is going to take the person places. So we have a responsibility to develop and hone the gift. And then we have a responsibility to use the gift to serve others. You know, it's no use having a gift, a grace, what the apostle calls a gracious divine endowment, without using it to serve others. And you know, there's so many different examples of people who have gifts but haven't used it like they should to serve others. And that's a real tragedy. There's a story in the Bible that kind of drives this point home. And some of us might know that story. It's the story of the talents. And it tells a story, Matthew tells a story in his gospel, of a man who travels to a far country and then calls his servants and gives them talents. And he says to one he gives 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to each according to his own ability. And I always say to people, don't keep your focus on your race. Don't look at another person and envy them. That's what they have been given according to their own ability. Now, if you focus on what you have been given, you will find fulfillment, you will find contentment, and you will make a difference in this world. You know, the grass always looks greener on the other side until you find out that there are quite a number of animals roaming around there in addition to the green grass. So according to his own ability, and then he goes on a journey. And then when he comes back, he asks for, it's like a day of reckoning. He says to them, now what have you done with what I gave you? And then, you know, the one who he gave 5 comes up to him and says, well, this is what I did. You know, you gave me 5 talents, I invested it, and this is the return. The one who he gave 2 says, you gave me 2 talents, I gained 2 more talents besides that. I multiplied the investment. I used what you gave me. There's a reward, there's a return on what you gave me. And then the one who he gave 1 talent came and says, well, I knew you were a hard man. You reap where you didn't sow. You gather where you haven't scattered seed. What a bold servant. Recklessly so. I was afraid. I hid the talent in the ground. Look, this is what you gave me, and I'm giving it back to you. And Jesus' response was scathing. You know, it was. I mean, he didn't spare this servant. And the message in that story is, God expects us to use what he has given us to make the world a better place. And every one of us has something to do so. So quickly, just 3 minutes or however many more minutes I have. How do I identify what God has put in me? That's the big question. How do I know what God has put in me? I mean, where do I start? Yeah, I've heard you. Yes, you say God has given me something that can make a difference. You tell me that's the legacy that I have to leave, to use what I have to influence and impact lives. Well, how do I even know what I have? There are a couple of questions that I generally throw at people. The truth is that you tend to find out as you get along in life. You know, some things you don't even realize that there's anything to this. But as you get on in life, as you're focused and you're determined to make a difference, you generally will find out. But then there are questions that I just ask that help in that direction. The first question is, I say to people, what do you have a natural proclivity for? What do you do that comes naturally? What I'm doing now is natural to me. You know, I've always talked. In the parties I talked, at home I talk. I come from a family where everybody talks. We're all lawyers in the family. Family dinner is like being in court, state your case. You know, I mean, that's what I do, you know. So it's something that I just find I have a natural proclivity towards. And thankfully, I hope that I am using it to make the world a better place. So what do you have a natural proclivity towards? What problems do you see and do you want to be a part of the solution to? You know, my wife is very involved in missions and in a lot of charity work. And she's always been like that. You know, I mean, Oxfam comes up on the television. I feel for the kids like a normal person who has a degree of compassion. But it takes over my wife. She's literally, her day is wrecked because they've shown us some child in South Sudan who's dying. I said, you know, don't make me feel like a Philistine. I felt bad as well, but there's a lot I have to get on with in life. But it's hard. And so we realize that this must be part of what God wants you to do. And that's what she does. That's what gets her going when she's in that field, you know, actively involved in touching those who are disadvantaged, those who have fallen off the ladder of life, those who are in extreme poverty. So what do you see that stirs you up and makes you want to, in some way, get involved and solve that problem? If money was not an issue, what would you do? Because a lot of us get sidetracked because of money. We have to earn a living. And there are so many people who are working in places they hate. So I say to people, if money was not an object, if I said to you, you know what, I'll pay you £5,000 a month, yeah, just go and do what you want to do, what would you do? What do other people say about you, especially those who are closest to you? You know, these are people who know you, they've observed you. You know, sometimes you ask people about themselves, and most human beings tell you who they want to be, not who they are. Because human nature, you know, I mean, you paint a picture of who you aspire to be. But those around you know. They might not tell you, but they know. So somebody says, well, my gifting, having seen Bill Gates, they decide my gifting is in technology. The people around you are saying you barely use your phone to make a call and to answer a call. Your gifting can be in that area. That's a figment of your imagination. What are you passionate about? What would you, if I woke you up at night and started a topic in an area, what would get you straight out of the clutches of sleep? Because it lights a fire in you. You're passionate about it. It's something you could talk about endlessly. It's something you could get involved with. And then lastly, what do you want to be remembered for? If we asked you to write inscription on your own tombstone, what would you write on that inscription? Well, I hope that in some way encourages us. I think my